Welcome back. So we're picking up where we left off. We've covered index, we've covered create and new, we've covered show. Now we're doing edit and update. And I'll be upfront with you, in my opinion, these two are the most work. And that's because if you think about what edit/update actually accomplishes, it's sort of a hybrid between new and create and show. Where new and create can just create a new dog every time or a new blog, edit and update have to first find the old one and then update it. So we'll start with edit, which is /dogs/id/edit, which shows the form. So let's begin there. Before we do that, I'll just highlight some of the things we need to talk about. Edit route, edit form, update route, update form, and something called method override, which I'll get to, but it's a nice little issue that we have to deal with. So let's start with the edit route in app.js. Just app.get /blogs/id/edit. There we go. Add our callback, request and response. And all that we need to do in here to start is response.render the edit form that doesn't exist yet. Great. Now let's create that form. So touch view/edit.ejs and then open it up. Let's start nice and simple with just an h1 edit page and make sure we see that. So start the server, node, app.js, and to get there, you just take any of these and add on /edit. And it could just be anything /edit, it doesn't have to be a valid ID, we still see the edit page. Great. Now let's get a form there. And to do that, we can just take the form from new. So I'm actually going to copy just everything from this page over, and then we'll update a few things. The first one is, rather than new blog, we'll change it to be edit. We also need to change where this post goes, or where the form goes. So it's not /blogs anymore. We need to send this to the update route, which is dog/id, but we don't have the ID here yet. We have to look it up first in the template. So I'll leave it as /blogs for now. And I'll leave method as post as well. And we'll leave everything else as it is to start. Let's make sure that when we open this up, we see a nice form that says edit. And we do. Next, there are two features that are linked. Basically, we'll get them both for free by doing one thing. Those two features are, one, we need the form to submit to the correct URL, which is /blogs/id. So we need that ID. The other thing is that we want this form to be pre-filled with the data. Otherwise, we're not really editing, we're just typing stuff over. So it should show the title of the blog that I'm editing, the image, and the content. Both of those require us to first look up the actual blog inside of our edit route. So this is what I was saying, it's sort of like a combination of new and show, because we have to first use this ID to find the correct blog. So just like show, it's blog.findById, and the ID is request.params.id. Then we have our callback, call this found blog again. If there's an error, let's just do our same res.redirect to /blogs, else res.render edit, except we're going to pass in a little bit of data, and that will be blog is equal to found blog. Perfect. Now we have blog in our template, if everything went well. So inside of edit, let's start simple by saying edit and then put the title here. So that will just be blog.title as EJS. If we refresh now, we will have to restart. Refresh this page. Actually, this one's a terrible example because we don't have a title. So let's pick one of the early ones, like this one here, first post. If I go to /edit, we see edit first post. Great. So now we need to add in the data into the form, and that's also really easy. Remember that we specify the value of a form, whatever is inside of the input, using the value attribute. So rather than placeholder, we want value. And we can start by just saying value is equal to hello, and I'll show you what we end up with there. it's pre-filled with hello. So of course we don't want hello, we want a variable. And the value we want there is just blog.title. So run our JavaScript to get the blog title and then put that inside the value. And we'll do the same thing for image, except blog.image. Check it out now. If we refresh, we have the title and the image pre-filled. The text area is a little different. Text areas don't have a value attribute. Instead, whatever is in between the tags, the inner content, is what is pre-filled. So it's actually simpler. All we need to do is copy this EJS in between the tags and do blog.body. Refresh, and you can see we now have our blog post. So if we added some more data, this is updated now, and I hit submit, we still have a problem, which is that this form doesn't go to the right place. So now we need to focus on the update route. So update /dog/ID as a put request. So let's start in our app.js and add in the route. So update route app dot, this time it's put because it's a put request. And remember that the whole point of HTTP requests, these different verbs, is really just to make things meaningful, to add divisions to functionality, so that if we see there's a put request, we know that it's supposed to be updating something. But you could do everything with post requests only, so it's not a deal breaker at all. But if we're following RESTful routing, we need to do a put request. So app.put, and the URL is /blogs/ID. Just to refresh right here, dog/ID, blogs/ID. And we'll have a really simple thing in here that just sends back res.send update route. Just so if we see this message, we know that it will work. And if I go and now update our form so that it submits to the right place, I need to go into edit. If I change this to be put and change this to be blogs, and it has to be /ID. So I could just put anything there, but to actually put the ID there, I need EJS, just like the show route, blog._ID, and save. Now I hate to break it to you, but this won't actually work. So if I submit this, let's call it first post updated so we can see that, and I click submit, you'll see that it takes us to the show page. And not only does it take us to the show page, but it adds all of our form data into the route up here. So I don't know if you can read this, but it says title is first post updated. The image is the image URL. So it took the form data and put it in the URL as a query string, which remember that happens when we make a GET request. So we have a problem, and the problem comes down to this. HTML forms don't support put requests. They only support GET and POST requests right now. And the reason behind that is really hard to get a clear answer on. At one point, it was supposed to be included as part of HTML forms that were able to make put requests and delete requests. And then apparently they found it too difficult. I was just reading about it. I've included a link in the description for this video, but you can read about it. There's no conclusive answer. The only conclusion people have come to now is that it's way too late for them not to have implemented it. And it's a little surprising that you still can't send a put request using a form. So with that said, there is a workaround. And that's where this little line comes in, method override. So what method override lets us do, it's a simple package we install, we tell Express to use it. And then we go to our form and we add in a little bit of a cheat where we send a post request. And by the way, when you try and send a put request, it will default as a GET request, which is why this happened. And it's why it took us to the show page, because we made a GET request to blog/ID, which is our show route. Okay, so if we change this to post and we add this little cheaty thing at the end of our URL, !_ method equals put. This will send a regular post request, but it has in the query string _ method equals put, and method override will configure it inside of our app.js so that it looks for this underscore method. And if it sees underscore method equal to put or underscore method equal to delete, it will treat it as a put request or as a delete request. Hence the name method override. It overrides the fact that it's a post request, and it will treat it as a put or whatever we specify here. We could specify get request or delete, which we will do in just a little bit. But for now, we're going to go with put. So underscore method equals put, which doesn't do anything on its own. This is just a query string. Nothing changes until we do this. npm install method override -- save. While that's going, you might be wondering if it's worth going through all this effort, because we don't have to do this. Remember, we could just have another route called blogs update, and we don't need any of this. We could make it a post request. It's totally up to us to define our own routes, but yes, it is worth it to have this convention, to have this pattern that we follow. We want our edit requests. We want every part that's involved in updating to be a put. We want our destroy or delete information to be a delete request. It's just a matter of following a pattern. Okay, we have that done. Now in our app.js, all we have to do is require method override. I'll do that here. Method override equals require method dash override. Save, add our comma in, and then we need to tell our app to use method override. So app.use method override, and we need to pass an argument, what it should look for in the URL. Ours is underscore method. It can be anything, but that typically is what you'll see, underscore method. So now we've told our app, whenever you get a request that has underscore method as a parameter, take whatever it's equal to, put, get, post, patch, delete, whatever it is. For us, it will be put and delete, and treat that request as a put request or as a delete request. So now our route down here, where are you? App.put should now be executed, and we should see this, hopefully. So let's try it out. No problem so far. Okay, let's go back. Edit the form, so let's change it to say updated, some exclamation points, submit, and we now get update route. So notice the request that was made. It has underscore method equal put in the URL, which tricks our app. Doesn't really trick it, but method override is listening for that, and it says, okay, this actually isn't a post request. They want us to treat it as a put request, so it triggers our put route. So now we need to update what happens in here. It should take the ID in the URL, find the existing post, or the existing blog, and update it with the new data. And we can do that in one fell swoop using a method called blog.findById and update. And it takes 3 arguments: the ID to find by, the new data, and a callback. So this is a really nice method. The ID is nice and simple, request.params.id. The data from the form is whatever we called it inside of our form, blog. So request.body.blog. And callback is our callback we want to run. Error, and we'll call this found blog again. Or actually, to be a little clearer, let's do updated blog. Save. If there's an error, let's redirect you back to the index for now. It's not the best user flow, but it's fine for us. res.redirect/blogs. Otherwise, what we want to do, if you've successfully updated, we could either take you back to the index or we could take you to the show page. And let's do the show page. So res.redirect, and that needs to be /blogs/an ID. And the ID is in a few places. We could find it in updated blog, or the simplest one is to use request.params.id, just like that. So we need to plus request.params.id so that it redirects us to the right show page, because we have to have the ID. Let's test it out now, see what happens. Okay, let's edit this one so that it says really updated now. Submit. and it worked. You can see that it found it by ID, it updated it, and then it redirected us to the show page. And now our new title is there. And if we go back, you can see that, where are you? At the bottom here, first post, really updated now, is still updated. So it's persisted in the database. So it's a lot of work to get update to work. The new code was adding method override in, which again, it's a little bit weird why we have to do that. Basically, HTML forms just don't support anything other than a GET or a POST request. So every framework out there, or most frameworks at least, something like Rails, has its own particular way of faking a put request or a delete request. And the whole point is just so that on the server side, we can write code to listen for a put request or listen for a patch request or a delete request, rather than having to define another route like app.post update blog /id, because we could just do this, but the idea is that you don't have to. We can keep it as blog /id, but make it a put request. And we already have another blog /id, of course, for our show as a GET request. So it's a way of just separating things out while keeping the URLs the same. All right, so method override listens for underscore method, which is what we configured it to do right here. Great, so we have edit and update. The last thing we have left to do now is destroy. And destroy, luckily, is nice and simple.